ahead of time. All right, now we begin the recording. So let's go ahead and get started talking about this this moment. Now, I know there are some folks who are asking about numerology in general. So I guess we can get started there because that's always a great place to start. Numerology in this case is a reading of kind of the associations and meaning that is behind numbers, and I like to say also maybe geometry, geometric patterns, kind of the magic behind math. Now, it's interesting that that's the case because I myself have never been a great mathematician in my life. I literally probably, I'm more of a like creative person at heart, I have to say. And that's wonderful. And if you're great at math, I still think you're so welcome and so supported, and I hold space for you. I'm just saying that I'm someone who I would have never imagined that I would be kind of a numerology wisdom keeper because I remember, as my teacher once said it, it's like the numbers would dance for me. That was my shamanic teacher. There was no math teacher ever said that to me. But what math teachers would say to me is that I'd be making stupid mistakes in math all the time. Nonetheless, the idea that the numbers were always kind of dancing for me, I think, is really what holds, because when I sort of got into this other work that I was previously doing, not the job I currently have, I had to kind of look at these repeated numbers all the time and IDs everywhere. And when I would see these IDs, I started to see the numbers repeating and repeating over and over again. It was like this calling. You know, some days it would be 444, some days it would be 7766. It would be many different repeating numbers, and I just couldn't ignore it anymore. And of course, you know, if you look at esoteric work and esoteric, I like to look at kind of the history of alchemy, the history of kind of medieval Islam as well. That has a lot to do with kind of the patternings of the natural world, thinking of knowledge as being both kind of quantified through a scientific lens, you know, mathematical lens, as well as a magical lens. And so, you know, we're going to have our first alchemy session this upcoming Wednesday. That's going to be every last Wednesday of the month going forward, in which I'll be kind of introducing the work of, you know, kind of medieval alchemy, medieval, you know, ancient Babylon, kind of going all the way back. It's really about working my personal medicine so that we can actually kind of explore what my channel has to offer at least once a month specifically. So numerology is in a way a part of that, because it's about looking for the meaning of ordering and numbers and sequencing and patterns and kind of trying to understand what patterns mean. So if you are familiar, for example, with the tarot, when you look at the tarot, especially the major arcana, a good part of the weight of the meaning, and the minor arcana too, if I'm being honest, a great sort of value in the meaning is held in its number and sequencing within its like its defined space. So if it's a, you know, a 6 of Pentacles, there is the energy of 6 within that meaning. It's basically the numerology of 6 coming in to the wisdom of earth medicine. And so that is numerology. And if you want to, you can look up your life path number. I don't quite have time, unfortunately, to pull them all for everyone, though I'd love to. But I recommend, if you're curious, looking up your life path number. There's many defining numbers that you can look into. You can even find out, you know, how your life path number goes with your friend's life path numbers. There's so much to explore, and it's really fun. It's a lot like astrology, but working instead with a specific number. My specific life number, in fact, is 7. So I'm working, I guess, as a philosopher in this life, as a magician, and someone who's trying to find the mystery behind everything. And I think that's pretty much not shocking, especially with you know, kind of medieval, as I'm saying, esoteric medieval Islam, because Sufism is very much about how do we find out the secret and how do we uncover the secret. And a lot of mystical Christianity is like that too. A lot of, you know, kind of the mysticism of medieval times is very much like that. So the idea that I'm uncovering the secret feels very relevant. So let's talk about the numbers of the time. I, first of all, love that we're in 2022 because I think that it's remarkable, incredible that we, when 2020 hit, I thought that that was going to be an amazing sequencing and that the numerology was really going to bless us. And we'll all be honest that, it was a little surprising what came next. But nonetheless, there was a great change that happened in that sequencing of numbers. And what I'm hoping is that if we can grasp this moment in 2022, we have the ability at least to find space for ourselves to work with the harmony of repeated numbers. Um, I see a raised hand. If you don't mind, can you please put your question in the chat while the recording is on? And yes, for those who missed 2/2/2022, that recording is available on Facebook and also on the YouTube. I can link that in the chat at some point soon. I will get to that after this. So, excuse me. So 2022 is basically, it's the harmony of 6, which is actually an even more exciting, perhaps one of my favorite numbers, now that I know more about numerology, though I love all of them, and it has no standing on your life path number, which is special and important because it's yours. But I really like the number 6 because it's just a number of happiness, and it's a number of love, and it's a number of wealth and abundance, and it's a number of basically welcoming in good things, and if not, at the very least, compassion, for yourself, for your energy. But it's all of these things. It's money, it's love, it's compassion, it's happiness, it's rest, it's victory, it's everything. And so this is really can be our year, I think, in a lot of ways, at least on our personal path, even while there might still be chaos in the kind of larger path. Beyond that, I think that what might be worth, or what is exciting about today, is that we're in 2022. And what is that? But that is also, that is the number 10. And so that's what we're really going to be working with today, is number 10. What I love is that it's all these 2s repeated, because 2 nonetheless is also harmony, and it's balance, and it's also love, and it's about kind of that ability to share and balance, kind of Libra, Gemini energy, about everything coming into place, temperance, things like this. And so to see it repeated so many times, it becomes 10, I think is very exciting, because number 10 is about basically a beginning and an end. It is a culmination in every sense of the word, because it is 1 and 0, and yet it is harmonic, it is even, it is its own balance, but it's also the number 1, the rebirthing, the new beginning. And then it's also, with that 0, it's kind of like a new way of being, 0 being this number that is both a number and not. It is a way of basically going into something completely different, completely unique. And so it's a completion that is completely new, and just completely unseen from us. It's like looking back at where you were 2 years ago and realizing you're an entirely different person now. That would be a 10 experience, sort of reaching a 10 moment in your life. It's also about, self-sufficiency. It's about inclusion with kind of like a compassion. It's also about full vibration of wholeness. And it's one that is kind of like, in 10 is everything. So I'm really looking forward to kind of experiencing and looking at this unity and really bringing that in today. As usual, we will have 2 meditations today. The first is going to be a grounding meditation. And I feel this will be also working on the high heart chakra, which is basically right here between the heart and the throat. And I feel like this is going to be a really great opportunity to kind of understand, how we can open ourselves to our relations with others. And we'll be talking about what the high heart means throughout in the meditation. So I don't need to explain so much. I want to make sure that we have time for everything. And then the second meditation will be, as I call, like our ceremony, where we go into a more spiritual space. We welcome in the deities, we welcome in the gods and the goddesses. I do deity work a lot. I feel like that's sort of where a lot of my medicine lies. And as I said in my previous circle, I think that was the full moon in Leo. There was a point in my life where I did not think I would be working with my ancestral magic. I thought I would be a Shakti worshiper. So we're going to be calling in Shakti today. If you're not familiar with her, I will talk about her a bit in the meditation as well, so you can get a sense, but she is kind of the most awesome divine feminine within one of them, I should say. I'm not trying to insult any of the other amazing goddesses within the Hindu pantheon, but she's really incredible power. And I owe a lot to her. So I'm going to be calling in Shakti, Durga, and we'll also be calling in my patron deity Ninurta, who is here on the altar. He's kind of hiding behind the candle, and Ishtar right now, but he's there. And then of course we've got Ishtar, and we've got a few other folks here: Sekhmet, Freya, Hecate, and then just skulls for the ancestors. So a lot of great stuff to be exploring. That should be enough to get us started. I guess the only other thing that I would introduce very slightly is, if you're not familiar with sacred geometry, we'll be working with the flower of life. I recommend, if you want, you can Google it during our break between the first and the second meditation, but you don't necessarily need to. So I think that, that's just the other part. It's a kind of concentric circle sacred geometry thing. So we'll be working with that in the second meditation. Now I see in the chat, I'm sorry, I can't offer any private readings right now to the person who's asking about a family member. That is something you'll have to contact me about privately. But if you go to preciousunderwarrior.com or preciousunderwarrior@gmail, you're welcome to ask me more questions in depth, and I can give you any answers that turn out to be relevant. I appreciate your patience with that, but this is unfortunately not the time for kind of a one-on-one reading. So thank you for your patience with that. And yes, I love Shakti energy. She's amazing. She's so powerful and so giving. So yes, thank you so much. And without further ado, let's begin with the first music. All right, everyone. So let us all begin to become here a part of this space, a part of centered space. We can just begin with a bit of an awareness at the heart and the lungs, here in the chest, in the center. Opening ourselves slowly as we welcome a delving deep into the energy of two, into the energy of love, into the energy of 2022. And as we're doing so, let's notice how we are breathing naturally. Notice how we are breathing just as is, no effort. How is the breath catching in our lungs? Bringing in awareness if you're laying or sitting down, how your feet are. How are you connecting to the earth? And how are you breathing? we continue now to work with the breath. This time we will be counting to 10, and then breathing into the count of 10 and breathing out to the count of 10. So when I say 10, you'll breathe in, and when I say 10, you'll breathe out, and I will guide you as well. Breathing in 10. Breathing out 10. And breathing in 10. And breathing out 10. Breathing in 10. Breathing out 10. We'll do 2 more here. 10. Then 10. One more. 10. And 10. All right. And letting the breath return back to normal now. As we welcome in today the spiritual and psychic awareness that is within us each and every day. Moving beyond just the 3D awareness, the feelings in the physical body, moving away from any heavy or dense feelings within us, and taking time to release as much as we can, as we welcome a realignment and a returning to center. Welcoming in a kind of cleansing now. Me cleansing you through the screen and If you have water or incense, you can use them. Otherwise, you can even put your hands on your heart or on your stomach and just welcome in the energy of cleansing around you. I'm going to use a different kind of incense as well. Clarifying the energy. Clearing your mind, clearing your waters, clearing body space, and spending time to really be relieved of the energy of others. Getting rid of the colleagues, the managers, the customers, the students. As memories are coming up, we see the people around us, acknowledging that they are their own people with their own prerogatives and needs, and that we too have our own. Any conflicts, anything that comes up at all, any relation, all are not needed. Right now, we recognize the needs of others, but take time to refocus into an honoring of the needs of ourselves. I'm calling you in. Calling you, calling you, calling you in. Releasing now thoughts of dearly beloved, all the ones who are close to us, whether there's family or friends, even they can be taxing and take our time and our energy. knowing that we will return very soon to sharing the energy of those who we love so dearly after we return from this mission today. But for now, allowing ourselves our freedom from all things, releasing all thoughts of other people, being free, completely free, to be parted from the needs of others. Right now, we are not perceived. This is all time taken for ourselves and a reprioritization of our needs. For as we are falling into the mathematical and numerological alignment of the stars and the structures of Mother Nature and Father Sky, we are taking our time now to also balance our minds and bodies and spirits with the universe. Opening ourselves to the guidance of wisdom beyond this life. Opening ourselves to vibrationally shift and open to a new dimension and level of consciousness. Opening to receive the knowledge and tools and downloads that we need to shift, to rise and shine like the sun and the moon, to be balanced and empowered. We are like the full moon in Leo, heralding the new cycle of Pisces season, fully balanced as the self, one star among many in the sky, healing, releasing, being at peace with the mystical nature and harmonic balance of the spirit of all things. We call in the self that experiences reality in full perception and in all directions. Bringing an awareness now into the self, to the way in which we become overwhelmed in the day-to-day, in the personal, remembering and releasing, in fact, releasing our embarrassment, our discomfort, our tension. We did just fine today. We deserve to exist. We can release it. We have recently just done enough in all that we've experienced. We weren't too weird, we weren't boring. We can figure out how to act the way that we want to. We can open to the possibility of being more comfortable, more in alignment with what makes us comfortable. We have that ability within us always to know that we are just good enough as is on this path. We can release fear, embarrassment, anger, shame, to whatever degree feels right for this moment. We don't have to let go of it all if we don't want to. But we can make a peace that our regrets are our memories, attempting to teach us lessons. And that these emotions are the living records within us. And as we are releasing, we are welcoming a love to ourselves without conditions. For it is ourselves that we must live with always. And so peace is the only option. In this space of allowing compassion to ourselves, we also welcome in now the love of the number 2 repeated, 2 harmonizing with 2, and with 2. Harmonization of love, and the welcoming of a divine love, a divine compassion, a divine forgiveness for our attempts to live within our truth. And as we are doing this, welcoming in this number 2, We also begin to zero in on the high heart. For now, focusing kind of on your chest bone as you call in that 2 energy into your body space. And if you like, you can put your hands here, but you don't have to. If you work with the Reiki, you may feel some Reiki activation, some lightning, some thunder opening the space here. As we are focusing in now on this high heart, this spiritual heart, the etheric and auric heart, what is known biologically as the thymus, between heart and throat chakras. And as we are focusing in, we are allowing for a healing of our relationship to growth and potential, and healing our thymus. In our thymus is the inner warrior, the gland between our lungs that holds our immune system, one of our first chakras that develops when we are a fetus in the womb, being grown and given life, and given the opportunity to protect ourselves from the waters of creation. This gland, this space, is our immunity, both our biological and spiritual immunity, holding within us the patterning of our DNA and our karmic design in this lifetime. This is our inner shield, the shield of our heart, and through which time may have broken or damaged this place, even as we were born and formed from the energy and knowledge of our past lives, as well as our interpersonal relations. We find awareness into this shield, this place of connection. Finding awareness of the ways in which we give our hearts to one another. Healing that work deeply, completely, with little to no effort. Being removed of the dense energies of the evil eye, of the darts and arrows sent our way, so that we can call the within and the without to be balanced, the masculine and the feminine, the self and the other, those around us, the voices of our many selves and experiences, all in this heart space, aligning, centering, healing. I'm going to send you Reiki as well. For your opening, unfolding, and your activation. We no longer have to share the pain that we received. We can welcome in the energy of the moment and the energy of movement as well to our high heart, to our fears of being loved, to our memories of experiencing love, and to our abilities to love again. We are open to love and welcoming in the balancing of twos repeated, of twos harmonizing, creating from one another the energy of 10. Divinity and harmony in all things. Love through big picture thinking, blessing us. And healing into this love as we welcome a kindness within ourselves that becomes a kindness that glows outside of ourselves. A compassion within that is a compassion without. Peaceful and loving mind. Kindness, compassion, peace, love. And as this love is swirling around, we become clear of all things except for the love that we feel, the love that we want to give, and the love that we want to experience. Grounding down into this clarity of mind and opening up to the new way of appreciating and approaching love of the self as well as love of the others. We are all like great trees in the forest of life, roots down, branches up, and among us a community, a human forest, in which, through love, we are deeply and beautifully interconnected. This concludes the first meditation. We ask that the music stay on while we go into a 3 to 4 minute break. If you have a notebook and would like to take notes on anything that came up, I strongly advise you do so. If you need a minute to just process or get a glass of water, get up and stretch your legs, go ahead and do so. We can only share in the chat at this time, but you're welcome to ask questions in the chat. And I know someone asked about the YouTube, so I will provide a link to that as well to receive all the other recordings. If you subscribe, it's really only to get the updates about when the recordings drop. I feel like someone had a question as well that I mentioned. Oh, I can also provide a resource for finding your numerology life path calculation. This one's pretty good. I also recommend the numerology app where you get a day-by-day forecast. So if that calls to you, ahlan wa sahlan, I welcome it. It'd be great. Yes, two twos facing each other. I love that. That's what they are, right? It's like this, I think. Yeah, right? Like when you think about it. If you have the line there, something like that. I think that's very powerful. I'm glad that that could align for you. I mean, all right, I'll give it another 30 seconds, but let's go ahead and switch the music over. Hello to the folks on Facebook. I see your comments. I'm really happy to see you as well. And I might try to drop a comment. Thank you. I'm so glad this could be peaceful. That's always so useful. Thank you. I call in now the 7 directions, calling in the north, calling in the east, calling in the south, calling in the west, calling in the below, calling in the above, and calling in the center with great love, great gratitude, great appreciation for these directions, these cardinal poles, standing places of magic. And we call in now your guides, your ancestors who are in their wellness, here to support you, your animals, your elemental and friendly allies, any cats, dogs, fish, lizards, reptiles, rodents, mustelids, birds, butterflies, bugs, insects, your angels, your deer, your elephants, all your friends here to support you. For your highest good, may you be supported on this mission today, underneath this numerological moment, as they are all called in, and we all are in council together, amongst each other, among flowers, among our ancestral lands, our marshes, our swamps, our deserts, our river plains, our mountains, our savannas, our jungles, our cold, our heat, our green. I call in as well my guides and allies. I call in the great Mother Shakti Ma, Durga Ma, Kali Ma, goddess warriors, triumphers of good over evil, great queens holding their great swords, Durga Ma riding her great lion, Mahishasura Mardini. Demon slayers, we are so humbly grateful for your presence as goddesses of love and of pure, ultimate, infinite power. We call in Abu Ninurta, Father Ninurta, Abu Ninurta of Babylon, Saturn, Capricorn, the energy of the farmer, the energy of the savior of mankind. Demon slayer as well, defeater of the Anzu bird, protector of the tablets of time, savior of mankind, protector, warrior, healer, hero, exorcist, thunder and lightning. And we call in Ishtar, Mother Ishtar, Ma Ishtar, Queen of Heaven, keeper of the halupu, the willow tree, the guardian of warriors, queen of the lions and the owls, sister to Ereshkigal, Kigal, wife of Dumuzi, keeper of the bowl of heaven, divine power of love in all directions, in all faces, in all joyful shapes and patterns. We call in these energies with great humble gratitude. I call in the great mothers and the great fathers. I call in the many deities who are unnamed today, the many old gods, the many guides across backgrounds and universes. I now recite prayers. These are not made by me, but the ones that I use personally in my practice. Instead of going to the ancients today, we're simply going to just work with the harmonic prayers for my deities. We begin with Surah Al-Fatiha and Ayat Al-Kursi. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yawm al-Din. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Uhdina sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata al-ladhina an'amta alayhim. Ghayri al-maghdubi alayhim. Wala dhalim. Ameen. Sadaq Allah al-Azim. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyu al-qayyum. La ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. Lahu ma fi as-samawati wa ma fi al-ard. Man dha alladhi yashfa'u 'indahu illa bi'idhnihi. Ya'lamu ma bayna aydihim wa ma khalfahum. Wa la yuhituna bi shay'in min ilmihi illa bima sha'a. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. آمين. Om Dam Durgaye Namaha. Om Dam Durgaye Namaha. Om Girijaye Vidmahe Shiva Priyaye Dhimahi Tanno Durga Prachodayat. Om Girijaye Vidmahe Shiva Priyaye Dhimahi Tanno Durga Prachodayat. Om Em Hrim Klim Chamundaye Viche. 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 We thank the great guardians who have protected us along the way as we open ourselves now to the waking dream of our magic becoming aware within us. Welcoming the presence of the guides who surround us. And as they stand with us, they are beginning to create a grid of potential. These guides are here to monitor and aid us in our processing of all that will come to pass today. And so as this grid begins to become physical around us, we see that our guides are pulling us now, pulling this grid around us, both the grid in our room here, as well as the grid that we are all forming together. Pulling up and away from this physical room, and moving in from this place into the next, up into a newer and higher dimension than the one that we are currently in. A place beyond the clouds and beyond the stars. This grid that is lifting us up and out of this consciousness and into a psychic tethering of the order and DNA of the very universe. And as we are becoming centered into this grid, we call on those powerful cosmic beings, your deities, as well as Durga Ma, Abu Ninurta, the angels, the star beings, the jinn, the little people, the elves, the gnomes, the dwarves, the leprechauns, the menihuni, and even the great Kaaba, the meteorite given by Allah and Allat to the Bedouins of the Saudi desert. Those two pagan gods who became the names of the people of the book. The sky gifts given to us as earth beings. And we are continued to be pulled into this DNA and quantum atomic sequencing of the universe, among this grid, floating like a cloud, and in a cloud of protection that will keep us safe and that will help us find what we need. A cloud that is soft and open and tuned for our transmissions and downloads to reach us, gentle and pure, spun by the threads of angels and light beings, our spiritual craft through dimensional travel. This raft and cloud holding us and anchoring us, so soft that we are as if the bumblebee resting among the petals of a flower, tired from our long journey, flying imperceptibly based on our instincts, and completely unaware of the many quantum structures, atomic grids, and natural ordering of the universe around us. We are the bee, and the flowers keep growing as we keep the pollen moving. We make the honey that feeds the bears. The trees blossom, the flowers bloom, all in accordance with a natural order that we have a part to play in, even if we do not always know or understand fully what that part is. So for now, today, in this grid, upon our cloud raft, we are the bee in springtime, resting in a flower. And as we are the bee in this grid of spirits, we are welcoming in an attraction to the signs and symbols meant for us now, so we can receive the wisdom that we need in order to face that which will come to us. As we all come into an accordance with the great numerological moment, represented physically by this temple today, by this natural order, by this gridding formula, our spirit allies now in this grid become pillars of high frequency light and knowledge, shifting us into our temple, shifting themselves, I should say, into temple walls. The spirits come closer as the temple around us is built and forming, growing and flourishing, and becoming the structure of the flower of life. Geometric designs of sacred geometry illustrating the profound meanings of this ancient wisdom held in space. We at the center are one circle among 19 concentric circles. Our flower in which we are resting, a geometric flower now. 19 circles, 19 petals, 1 to 9, 1 and 9 adding up to create 10. And us at the center of this 10 flower of life geometric grid. And through this grid we are calling now, being called into an activation through the 10 dimensions of awareness that will align us into the numerological repeating of 2 upon 2 upon 2 upon 2 upon 2 upon 2, harmonizing and resonating with the number 2 and the number 10. The beginning, the end, and the balance, the great love upon love upon love that is beginnings and ends and culminations, completion, a feeling of rest and support and trust that we have what we need as we feel love throughout our bodies, performing and receiving now a kind of natural download and healing transmission from this grid, this flower of life, this world beyond the world that we live in, this dimension, with consciousness of the great beings that live beyond the veil, as all reaches out to us from this grid and sacred formation. To help us find ourselves, to activate We're inviting in a sacred listening, 19 circles, 10 in geometric design. We receive the return to unity, the fusion of being and non-being, the culmination of all things, the completion of a cycle, and the rebirth again. 1 and 0, 19, becoming 10, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, becoming 10, harmony and balance, creation and infinite potential. Wholeness, exploration to be with our self-determination. We can care for ourselves. We have everything we need. We welcome now vibrations of love and compassion and peace and wisdom and love again and again and again. Power of infinity to become seated deeply and to open each one of our chakras. Through these beautiful petals and shapes of this grid, carrying the sweet aroma of magic and mystery in the great universe. All is held and blessed with this 10, 2, 2, 2, 2. All things held, infinity, completion, balance. And now we are going to, at the count of 10, move higher and higher into new dimensions and states of consciousness. With each number, we align deeply with the mystical knowledge that is established and meant only for us. And when we reach that final 10 at the top of this flight into these numbers, we will receive a transmission. Beginning with 0, we are no one but ourselves. 1, we are welcoming today's activation to take place, keeping our mind focused as we go deeper and deeper upwards toward this numerological portal. 2, harmony. We are opening the spirit body and the third eye mind, the highest self mind. We are releasing all cycles and welcoming love. Moving up now into the third layer, the third level, we are harmonized with those around us. We are a beautiful center of many flowers in a meadow. We are the self. We are everyone else. We are reflected in all things. Moving up to the fourth level, we find security, we find stasis, we find foundation, and through that there is peace. Five, we have the ability to heal at every possible instance. We are made of the ability to rise above conflict. We are not a slave to our actions. There is always the potential to change. Six, we harmonize with the electromagnetic energy in our brains, welcoming the sparks of higher energy in each hemisphere, welcoming peace, welcoming abundance, welcoming giving, welcoming happiness. And 7, finding deep flashes of pure clarity. We find all answers can emerge within our heart, and we feel an activation within the spinal cord. 8, a new layer in which old thought patterns begin to shift naturally. All our body's memories are now finding release as we are welcoming a new way of being, balancing our perception of the world around us. 9. We are reminded that everything ends, that we are here for so little time, and yet there are so many lifetimes. We remember that big picture, the happy endings and the bad endings, the great multitude, the world alive within us. And we have the ability to change every day. We can always stop the past and begin anew. At this final 10th level, our pineal and pituitary glands are becoming activated and expanding, third eye and crown, glowing as they open, and we are becoming fully encapsulated in this new dimensional paradigm of reality through numerology and sacred geometry. Calling in any guidance now, calling in the sacred geometrical transmissions and orderings that will answer our deepest questions, asking for the path forward to become clear as we take a moment and listen in as the voice of the divine cosmos becomes aware of you and your all-encompassing greatness, and you may feel yourself in a column of pure energy. We are told and invited to release our expectations of any outcome, knowing that for all that happens to us, we can still grasp abundance and wisdom and find love, When we remember the past, we are also offered the opportunity to forge a new future. In Trauma Mind, we create records of all things to watch out for, as our lizard brain does its best to remind us how we should survive. But we are beyond scarcity consciousness here. Here is the everythingness of everything. Abundance is with you, and abundance is with me. And you will find a way to get everything it is that you need. We open ourselves fully to joy and to love. And we can let our past fears and past experiences fuel instead an activated excitement with, of course, the knowledge of what to avoid in the future. Instead, our past memories reform into a nostalgia, not for the troubles, but for the good times. As we remember that there is nothing quite like the beauty of experiencing something as divine as our happiest moments. Remembering the pure happiness and healing of nostalgic joy, and leaving behind the present as well as the difficulties, for instead a remembering of times in which we have exactly changed for the better. Knowing that all memories are in us, they are all welcome, and that through our nostalgia, our love is magnified, and we are readjusting the way in which we are record keepers of our experience. There is no other life than this, and no other love that we have experienced than in those moments in the past when we loved. And so we hold close to us in every moment the honeyed and joyful and maddening moments, as we allow them to rewrite our relations to memory and to other people and to ourselves and to our story. And through this nostalgia, we are cleared of all hurts. For nostalgia is like the apology to the wounds that we always wished we could receive. And it is the healing salve, just as it is the rewriting pen. All of this performed in the great flower of life, illuminating us. We ask now for any final wisdom here in this grid, in this flower, in this high frequency dimension. Anything that is left for us, that is meant for us, may we listen, may we experience deeply. And as we are saying goodbyes to this space, the petals of this flower begin to close, this flower of life, closing around us as we begin to enter a birthplace, a seed pod of pure power of creation. 10 through the flower of life, through the repeating numbers 2, through the harmony of love. We harmonize now with leaving the past behind, leaving behind the perception that we owe something to the self that has done wrong or has received wrong. Instead, we welcome a rebirthing as we are ripe to be born again from this seed, fully in tune with that which brings us abundance and success. We ask that our future path be illuminated and blessed, and that we are given all which we must receive in order to achieve that which is exactly meant for us. We stay for a moment here in this seed pod, this expression of the great creative mother. And when we are ready, the seed pod will sprout, and out we will appear, God, Goddess, born forth on the lotus flower of life. Back into this moment, we are returning when we are ready to find the vivaciousness of all things, knowing that we are powerful forever and always. We are in harmony forever and always. Thank you to all of those who stayed on the live stream. I will be closing that now. You may continue your meditation. And I will also stop the recording. You may still stay in meditative space if you would like, as we will now come to close this session and ceremony With humble gratitude,